Now, the Gauteng High Court has ordered the City of Johannesburg to fast-track the allocation of trading stalls to verified hawkers. The ruling follows legal action by the Socio-Economic Rights Institute after a city clamped down on unauthorized traders. All approved informal traders must be allocated stalls between today and November the 18th. Joining us now is Patson Khosa, the Deputy Director for Sustainable Employment Facilitation in the city's Department of Economic Development, to unpack the logistics, the challenges, and even the implications of this ruling for thousands of street traders. Patson, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Let's just talk about what this order actually means. So you now need to hurry the whole thing up. Does this mean there's going to be more raids that happen to clean up the streets and then more allocations? Or how exactly is it going to work? Good morning.
Good morning. Look, the judgment yesterday means that we have a number or a list of traders that SERI has given us to say these are affected traders that we are going to be prioritizing, to a total of 511. And these are the traders that from today, the 4th, until the 18th, we should be prioritizing. But however, that doesn't mean that we are going to do raids and all that, because the city, when they have to perform law enforcement, they have to do that because it is within their prerogative to do that.
Okay, 511 traders. How many stalls are currently available?
We have quite a number of stores available in the inner city that we are ready to reallocate them, but not at De Villiers, because these are traders that were affected from De Villiers. So we have enough stores that we can allocate them across the in fact in the inner city.
Yeah. Okay, because I had a walk through town yesterday. Actually, I was doing another story, but this was of keen interest to me too. And I saw quite let's call it a cleaner Johannesburg, but that just meant less informal traders on the roads. Is this the ultimate aim here, to have less informal traders, or is it about having this, even if it's the same number of informal traders, but ones that really are, shall we say, known to everybody, so that whether it be things that are food poisoning or allegations, etc., we know exactly who these people are? Is that the case here? Is that the aim?
Look, we have mixed bags of traders in the inner city, if I were to indicate, because you have traders that are trading in areas that they're not supposed to be trading. That's one, and it's a lot of those. You have traders that are trading in the inner city that are not documented. And then you will have those that are trading in areas that are demarcated for trading. So the aim is to make sure that the inner city, or the city itself, because the focus is not only in the inner city, the focus is across all the 7 city regions. But however, we want a city that is clean, a city that is safe, and people then get education to be able to then make sure that the city is always clean.
So is it safe to say that anybody who is undocumented is not allowed to have an informal trading stall in and around the city?
That's true. That's true.
Does nationality matter overall? So this person is documented, and they may not necessarily be South African. Are they allowed to have an informal trading stall in and around the city, if applied correctly through the measures put forward?
I think on that one can just talk about eligible or eligibility to trade in the city. One is that you should be a South African that has a valid ID, and by valid, we're saying the ID should be validated by Home Affairs. And then we know there are a lot of fraudulent IDs that are in the country or in Joburg. And then second is non-South Africans, but however, guided by the Immigration Act, Section 10 of 2022, or in fact of 2002, as well as Section 22 of the Refugee Act of 1998. So we are guided by that for non-South Africans, for us to be able to issue them with permits or to give them trading areas.
Patson, how much of this is a for lack of a better term, a front for the G20? Because it's very convenient that also the date that has been put forward by the courts is just as the B20, which is a precursor to the G20, actually kicks off.
Look, I think it just came coincidentally when we have G20 around the corner. But however, verification and issuing of and probably attempts to issue permits started a while ago, where in most cases you will have associations that then support the traders objecting to the city launching the permit system that has been developed, as well as issuing of permits. So this has been happening. Even verification itself, where in most instances, when you do have to verify, you need to engage the associations and the traders. And upon engaging them, when you verify, out of 100 that you're expecting to verify at a given trading area, you find that only 20 will show up.
Yeah.
And then you now surprised to say, but where are the other 80? Where are they? So we don't want to suspect now, but however, as we verify, we have started to issue permits at North Market. We were expecting to issue about 200, but out of 200, only 40 qualified for trading permits. The other ones, we are still trying to get them to come and verify, but they are not coming forward.
Okay, so you can officially confirm that it has no linkages to the G20 at all then, right? That's the confirmation.
Not whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right. How do you ensure that this allocation of these permits isn't politicized or even bought as well? Because that becomes the key question mark here, the corruption that could be laced around these permits.
No, it's not going to be politicized because it's run administratively. I'm an administrator, an official of the city. The informal trading permit system resides with the Department of Economic Development. So as well as the rollout is on a phased approach, where phase one, we're allocating to traders that are on the city's database. And phase two, we're allocating to traders who are on suspense register. And suspense register only means that Patson has been trading on a particular market, but then he resigned, and the assistant or somebody who was assisting him then took over. So because they are not in the database, we put them under suspense register, pending for investigation, and they need to get affidavit to say, look, this stall was transferred to me, and then the owner is able to sign, or the traders themselves, they can also co-sign the affidavit just to say, look, the owner probably is late, so this person was trading here for the past years, so we are able then to issue them with permits. And finally, as phase three, we issuing to those that are new altogether. As we are allocating now, we realize others are no longer there, and then we have vacant trading spaces. So these vacant trading spaces now will be then for those that are new traders, are new applicants altogether.
Yeah. All right. Very interesting. Patson, informal trading is the cornerstone of Johannesburg's economy, and really, in some ways, many would say it's unsupported. Do you think that this ruling could prompt perhaps a little bit of a shift in how the city then integrates informal traders into a broader economic development strategy? Because this is just a part of it, but they could actually play perhaps a bigger role.
Look, you should know the city have what we call opportunity centers across all city regions. And these opportunity centers are well placed to support small businesses. And these include informal traders. We have since within our opportunity centers been supporting the informal trading, be it training on financial management or business management, be it access to market, access to finance. So we have those that now are aspiring to move from an informal trader to a formal trader. So the city understands that also the sector contribute huge, especially on the country's GDP. So definitely the city take into account the contribution by informal traders and making sure that they are well empowered. There are positions that we are able to take stock of economic spin-offs that are coming through the informal traders. One could be that I spoke about somebody leaving their trading area for somebody else. Normally, a trader will have one employee or two. So those then we call them assistants. So those are employment creation. So they are able to create jobs themselves. And these are the things that as the city, we should then be able to say how many jobs are created or were created through the informal trading sector.
A very important ability to be able to do something like that as well. Just very quickly, if I may then as a final question, as we continue this supposed crackdown then on unauthorized traders, how important is the working relationship now with SERI and other informal traders, whether it be the South African Informal Traders Association, etc., in making sure that this comes out right and still looks like the administration thereof is done correctly?
Look, this is a multidisciplinary approach where SERI, traders associations, and even within the city, the departments and municipal-owned entities, we're all coming together, making sure that the sector is well regulated. Yep. And we understand where we fall short as the city. And we're saying, look, where we fall short, obviously, we need to fix that. One would even ask a question to say, but what took long after the 2013 ruling, court ruling, for you to come to that point? Look, the city has been attempting to push and try to engage all these organs that we are able then to regulate the sector. But however, at some point there were pushbacks. But we're hoping now with yesterday's court judgment, there's a light, especially for the traders. We understand that these traders rely on them being on streets trading to fend for their families.
Yeah, very important. Patson, we'll definitely have this conversation again post the G20 and see if we're continuing with similar veins and similar efforts as well, to certainly see how things are faring. But appreciate the time, really do. Patson Khosa, the Deputy Director for the Sustainable Employment Facilitation at the Department of Economic Development.